So thank you, Ankit and Dr. Akshay, the moderator of today's session. So I'm doing my thing last 3 years, and what happened? It's total hell out of here. Since I'm running the last 3 years of my clinic, I face a lot of hurdles. I'm meeting with a number of colleagues. I'm doing a number of things, buying a number of things. But what will happen at the end of the day? A total thing will be messed up. Some of them will say that Akshay, you have to buy this thing. Akshay, you have to buy those things, and you set up clinic like that, and number of things will be happening during my pursuing of this clinic. But so at the end of the day, what will happen? So I took an pause and buy these things, those things, and unnecessary. I just making hurdle to myself just because I don't know how the things basically works in future. So what we are basically at the stages. So we are just like in a growing bird. What we call is in simple say it's an bache manke sache. So uh, what we call is a bache manke sache, and we initial days we listen from ourselves and we buy these things. And so to overcome of this problem, today's session will be discussing with my with my co-host Dr. Nishant sir. So he done his graduation and post graduation in the field of an oral and maxillofacial surgery from the Kelly's Institute in Belgium. So he's receiving training in the oral and maxillofacial surgery, trauma, direct indirect sinus lift, implantology, and doing soft tissues and hard tissues laser. So currently he is working as an associate professor in Jaipur Dental College, and he is publishing various papers in different national and international journals. And he is also a moderator of different series programs. He is doing consultations in various private hospitals like Piternal Hospitals and Apollo Hospitals. Currently he's basically currently he's owner of KDG Medical and Dental Clinic. So it is fortunate we having Nishant sir today giving a guidance that how we basically do practices in initial stage. So sir, I'm facing a number of problems, sir, because we are just like in the growing age. We don't know how the things proceed. What should we buy? What should we don't buy? How the things will be basically do. And so giving a brief idea, sir, to young generation just like me. So how we basically will start it initially in a practice, things will be not matched up flawlessly smooth during this phase. So just experiences your views about it, sir.
Thank you, Akshay, for the introduction. And I hope I'm clear. My voice is clear to everyone.
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank Ayushi Density and Mr. Ankit Goyal for inviting me for this session and organizing this session. It's a great initiative by Ayushi Density to organize this series of interactive session lectures, because lectures are online lectures are boring. So the series of interaction. And coming to the topic, this is an interesting topic because I feel that this topic everyone is concerned about. Everybody wants practice at the end of the day once they pass out from college, either graduation or graduation. So the things that are taught us in college is how to work, but how to do the procedures, but how to handle patients, how to handle other things in the clinic. That at times we learn the hard way by just with our experiences, whatever we think is correct. So this is a very interesting thing, and I hope those who are attending, good 50 people are there right now. So they might learn from my mistakes that I did in my initial years of practice. So as Akshay has already told, that I've been practicing since 2009 once I finished my post-graduation and came back to Jaipur from Belgaum and started my clinic. At that time, I was working as an assistant professor at Mahatma Gandhi Dental College for 2-3 years. And then since 2011, I'm into full-time private practice. So one thing I would like to share with especially young graduates, those who are attending, that I belong to a medical family where my grandfather was a doctor, my father is a doctor, and now is the third generation. So when I started, even I faced the same problem that patient did not. Uh, I faced the problem that patients did not turn up and they were not converting. So my father told me one thing, that initial 5 years of a medical or dental practice is where you look for काम, जब 5 साल काम आना चाहिए, फिर उसके 5 साल you need दाम, जो आप काम कर रहे हो उसके लिए आपको पैसे मिलने चाहिए, and then that is the third phase is नाम, जब अपने को चाहिए कि हमारा नाम भी साथ साथ बढ़े. So ये phases हैं practice के, so that is the way it goes. So my journey, initially we started with, my wife is also an orthodontist, so we started with a 2-chair practice. I have been upgrading it with different things. Every year I try to upgrade it, maybe with an RVG or with some X-rays, OPG. So subsequently, now we have 2-chair practice with OPG, with multi-speciality team that is there, and we have a multi-speciality kind of a practice, and soon we'll be upgrading to 4 or 5-chair practice. So that is the initial things that I would say, and I think Akshay has a few questions, so we'll discuss those. And if any one of you have questions, you can put it in the chat box, or maybe if we have time, we can discuss those as well. You can directly ask me or Akshay the questions. So back to you, Akshay.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the most prior importance concerns are in initial days for the young generation, sir. It's money, sir. So just sir, I want to just know about it. Basically, what in initial days the investment of clinic, what should be basically? Yeah, we'll started within a high investment of basically in the clinic. Yeah, we will gradually basically start the moderate amount of investment, and gradually will increase day by day, and in the clinic and spend the money into the clinic. So, sir, we can simply say that. So, what we should do? We should do some aggressive dentistry. We buy some little to large big things in the clinic and set up it. Whether we gradually and ladder like increasing basically our of practice of investment, basically, sir.
See, my take on this question is, I personally started with initially, even I was thinking that should I start with a 1-chair clinic or a 2-chair clinic. So if you are a single dentist, I would suggest start with a single-chair clinic, have the basic equipments, basic things, because spending in a dental clinic, you can start from very basic things to the highest things possible. But what I recommend is start with the basic things according to the area you practice. In case you are practicing in a rural area, maybe going in for a higher like intraoral scanners or anything, it does not make sense. So the basic things are chairs, RVG, X-rays. Maybe if you are doing more of endo, then an endomotor if you are trained in that. So all those things are small things, and then gradually increase. Like I did, I started with the basic things, and then as I started implant practice, then I took physio dispensers, and then now OPGs. And as the practice increased, every year I used to just spend some amount on the education part plus upgrading my clinic. So that would be my take on this, rather than spending a lot in the initial days, because then you might become frustrated, because initially patients coming in are not that much in the initial 1 or 2 years. So if you spend too much
earning from the clinic and just spending those money, just buying this different things, armamentarium within future aspect, sir. You want to say कि आप clinic से ही कमाओ और clinic में ही लगाओ, sir. Just like that, कि sir धीरे-धीरे.
Yeah, that is there. आप clinic में लगाओ, clinic में से कमाओ और लगाओ, that is a good thing. But आपको you need to have basic things. अगर you are an endodontist, and if you do not have a digital RVG, then it does not make sense. So you need to have whatever basic things for your requirements are there, but rather than making it too fancy, stick to the basics and then increase as per your clientele, as per your area of practice.
So, sir, one more next question, sir. One of the most ignored thing in the dental practice, sir. I think so. जो मुझे लगता है, sir, कि waiting area, sir. I think so. Waiting area is one of the most core thing in a dental practice because it shows the waiting area will show how basically your practice will be like, how your armamentarium will be like. Because the patient is when the patient is come to your clinic, is firstly encountering with your waiting area. So, sir, for the new young generation like me, so how we basically manage the waiting area basically for to what should we place, what should be not placed, how the things will be organized in waiting area, sir. So I think so, sir. He is one of the most basically a key role play in basically in developing of our clinic, sir. So sir, just give me a guidance on how we manage the waiting area, sir, in initial days basically, sir. Whether we need a receptionist, yeah, don't need, yeah, initial days, what we do, sir, basically about this waiting area.
So regarding the waiting area, I suggest initially it has to you should display whatever facilities are there, because if a patient is coming into your clinic, he or she is looking for what all facilities you give to the patient. It has to be neat and clean, because now with COVID times, everybody looks for a very hygienic environment, because pehle it used to happen that an odd patient would come in and ask for if your equipments are sterilized or not, or those kind of questions. But nowadays, every patient that comes in knows what sanitization is. So everybody is concerned about sanitization. So the more sanitized you are, because with COVID, dentistry, people think that they might get COVID visiting a dental clinic. I think that must be that has happened with me, because a lot of patients say that as soon as we went to a dentist, there are chances of catching COVID are far high in a dental clinic than anywhere else. So hygiene is very important. Secondly, receptionist is, I think, one of the most important persons in your dental clinic, because before the patient interacts with the dentist or the assistant or any treatment, they interact with the reception. So you have to have a very good person handling the reception, because as the old saying goes, that the first impression is the last impression. So at times, if the impression is not good of the reception, then the patient might not enter the treatment room also. So if that needs to be taken care.
Sir, one of my just friend will ask this question. He's saying that, sir, what about the charges, sir? Initial charges, sir. It's one of an, sir, I think one of the prior important question, because like us and like me and other young generation, we are doing, sir, initially in a cheaper prices, sir. Why we are doing, sir? Because we want to be inflow of a patient in initial days, sir. We want कि हम ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा patient treat करें. They know how basically how our treatment they interact us. But sir, things will mess up in future just because of a cheaper dentistry, sir. Because after the future of 2 to 3 years, we are increasing the prices, and the patient is saying that ki, why you are increasing pricing? पहले आप इतने करते थे, अब इतने करते हो. And gradually, sir, I think so. It will basically decreasing in productivity also. So, sir, what you are saying that we will starting a cheaper dentistry in an early days, and gradually will increasing. I will set up a certain benchmark, sir. कि नहीं, मुझे तो यहाँ से तो स्टार्ट करना है, इसके बिलो नहीं जाना है, चाहे कुछ भी हो. So sir, what we should we do basically? We should do the cheaper, yeah, we had set up in a certain benchmark and follow this basically.
See, this is a very good question, because this is the most important question, I think, in the starting of one's clinic, because before the patient steps in, we need to know what we are going to charge, right from consultation to X-ray charges and the treatment charges. So regarding the costing part, what I suggest is, I would not say that we should directly go in for a very low pricing, but go in for a moderate pricing according to the charges in your area. That is very important, because in case you are practicing in a suburb area, and if you keep very high charges, then people would not come to you. If you are practicing in a metropolitan or a very prime area, and there, if you try to keep low charges, then also the patients won't come in, because there the patients are uh, expecting that the charges would be higher as compared to the other areas. So what my take on it is that depending on the kind of material you use, the areas you practice, and you should always know that what is the normal charges around your clinic. So accordingly, you should initially plan to take the charges. They should be at par with the area in that you are working, but they should not be, if you are using standard materials and not charging for it, then it does not make sense, because as rightly said by Akshay, that after 2 3 years, though initially you'll attract patients, but after 2 3 years you get frustrated that though we are working, but there are no patients, because once you start increasing the charges, they start leaving you.
तो
So
सर
that is important.
तो सर वी कैन बेसिकली ऐसा भी कर सकते हैं कि वी विल जस्ट लाइक कि फर्स्ट वी इनिशियल डेज के अंदर वी डू इनफ्लो ऑफ एन पेशेंट सर, क्योंकि स्टार्टिंग नॉट ए चीपर रेट बट एन मॉडरेट रेट इनफ्लो ऑफ एन पेशेंट एज मच एज इनफ्लो ऑफ एन पेशेंट विल बी इंक्रीजेस as much as patient will be treated by your hands. They know basically how the treatment is going to done, and then after a period of a certain time, just 2 to 3 years and 4 years, we just set up in a benchmark that the RCT will be done in XYZ price, and this price, and we given a certain discount to them. So I think so this is a best policy of doing after a period of a time. Yeah, we gradually randomly increasing the prices कि ठीक है हमने 3 पहले करी थी, अब हम 3.5 करते हैं, या we set up a certain price limit after 2 to 3 years and giving a discount to those patients which is already undergone the treatment with me and with my just young doctors.
See, usually the best thing to do in this kind of case is that you decide a treatment charge, because do not keep too much of variation in treatment charges, because if you have a treatment charge list, then you know that this is the treatment charge that I am charging, and every year go on increasing, maybe whatever suits you. Usually it's around 10% that increases, because as the staff or salary also, if whatever staff is working with you, usually you'll have to increase their salaries, your expenditures increase, everything increases. So if you have taken your premises or clinic on rent, then every year the rents would increase, and usually it is between 5 to 10% that the rents increase. So that is very important. So I would suggest every year you should review your charges depending on the number of patients, and then keep them accordingly.
So, sir, one of the most important thing I am facing, sir, the two words, sir, bargaining and discount. Sir, it's just like धनिया वनिया कि सर इतना तो हमें देना ही पड़ेगा आपको bargaining. So, sir, I am just known of this person. I'm your father's friend. I'm your mother's friend. Sir, we explain everything from starting from the end. Sir, आपका treatment cost ये लगेगा. We do this procedure, and at the end of the day, sir, what happened? They start bargaining. They saying कि sir हमें कुछ discount तो दीजिए. We are known to you. So especially for the non-patients, sir, basically they are encountering continuously. They are encountering because we are young basically, and we don't know basically how to deal with such a patient, sir. So we're supposed to be start giving bargaining and discount, but at the end of the day, sir, ऐसा हो जाता है कि मतलब we just they are making just rules कि sir आपने इनको भी bargaining दिया है, आप मतलब they are just saying कि आपने इनको भी discount दिया है तो हमें भी. So sir, this is one of the most important things, sir, which is encountering right now. We are encountering the young generation. So how do we overcome these two words, sir, this bargaining and discount, sir? Just you enlighten to me.
Actually, bargaining and discount are a human tendency. I was attending a session by Dr. Manish Chetnas last month. So he put it very rightly that bargaining and discounts are a human tendency, that everywhere we go, we think that some discount or something would be given. Like we purchase things in sale. तो सेल का मतलब यही होता है कि भाई डिस्काउंट मिल रहा है तो अपन परचेज कर लेंगे, चाहे वही चीज का कुछ उसका कॉस्टिंग क्या रहती है, यू नेवर नो. So the best way to deal with it in dental practice, especially the initial days of your practice, is because you'll have in the initial days you'll have more of relatives, friends, or references would be a word of mouth reference कि हाँ यार मेरा friend के बेटे ने clinic खोली है तो आप वहाँ चले जाओ. So that kind of patients would be there. So you need to decide how much amount of discount would give to your family members or friends. So that obviously you will have to do because it's a known initially those people would come. So that the best way to handle those is that you have your specific rate list, and then accordingly you decide if it's a close family member, then this much amount of discount. I would not say 20% or 10%. That you have to decide depending on your charge treatment charges. Because if you are charging say an X amount that is just you think that it just fulfills your criteria. If you are charging say 1,000 rupees for a scaling, then you cannot give 100% discount or 50% discount. It would be say around 100 or 200 rupee discount. So that depends on you, but yeah, you make a policy and that will help you in the long run, because once that policy is made, then you are also clear yourself that okay, this is the discount. But when the patient comes in and bargains for it, so usually what happens is either we get offended कि यार डॉक्टर से कौन बार्गेन करता है, या फिर we think that अगर if we do not give him discount then he'll go up. I would suggest these kind of patients, if it's a complicated procedure, always explain the patient the procedure. Explanation is very important, what you are going to give, and be confident of saying that okay, these are my charges and these are because I these things are included. Like if you're in a root canal, if you say, then the x-rays are included, the filling is included, or the cleaning part is included, and we use this technique, and that is why these are our charges. So that is how
they are continuously comparing, because वो कहीं पे भी दूसरी clinics पे जाते हैं and they met with a doctor, they are saying that कि sir they are doing in 100 rupees and you are my known, so you at least you have to do you have to do in 90-80 rupees. Why are you taking extra charges? We explain them also because we are upcoming budding dentists, because we are listening them and we are giving a discount to them in initial days also. But sir, the next patient which just came with the reference of this patient, they are doing also same thing to sir. So sir, is just a little bit mess up, sir. So basically, what we're supposed to be handle those first persons, sir. So things will be a little bit sorted after a period of time, basically. So just
initially, if one more thing that you can do is that you let the receptionist handle the payment part. Do not take the payment yourself, because the bargaining sets in when the dentist does the work and takes the payment himself. So make sure that you have a system wherein you just talk about the payment, get the treatment done, and the payment is collected by your receptionist, so that you are not directly involved. And regarding the comparison, that comparison is never ending, because anybody who comes in would nowadays they show 4 dentists, 4 consultations, and then they come to you, okay, I just want the price of this because I know what needs to be done. So those patients, again, if they are window shopping, there is no point in getting stressed over it. You can just explain your point of view. Okay, these are my charges because I'm doing X, these things, these many things, and the work I do is I know what quality of work I do. I if you compare to me compare me to another person, then those are his charges, these are my charges. So I cannot you cannot just compare two things. Okay, from this part, maybe if he's a known person, so you can give X amount of discount. So that is how you can explain. And if the patient trusts you, because at the end of the day, the most important thing in a patient-doctor relationship is trust.
So, sir, you are doing the practices last 12 to 13 years, sir. So, sir, I can simply say that you understand the body language of your patient, sir. Okay, this patient will be able to do the will undergo the treatment, and this patient is just like we're doing the window shopping, sir. So sir, one of basics are basically criteria of basically that we knows that this patient is just interested in basically in taking the treatment, and this patient is basically, so the body language of a patient will show that. So sir, how will be you identify during just conversation, man to man conversation with his and her? He is basically patient will undergo the treatment, and this patient is just like doing some video shopping like that, sir.
See, body language, actually, that's a very good thing. Body language is very important on our part as a dentist and the patient part as well. So, a very simple thing that you can do for this is one, your body language has to be confident whenever you are telling the patient the treatment, the charges, and being firm on bargaining wherever the patient starts bargaining. The third thing is, if you feel if the patient is a window shopper or a serious kind of a patient, obviously uh, that shows whenever the patient talks to you. If he's coming and saying that, okay, you tell me the price, and that I don't want to know what the treatment is, I just want to get a root canal done. So you know that the patient is not interested in actually getting the root canal. He's more interested in the pricing. He's not interested in the technique. So at that point of time, you need to explain the patient, okay, this is what we do. And in case the patient has a trust, then he'll take it. And secondly, a few patients are slightly more aggressive, and usually I've seen that these kind of patients who are into window shopping more are more of an aggressive kind of a patient, that they just want to know the price, and then after that they decide. So reception in that way would help you, because you'll come to know from the reception, you are not directly interacting with the patient at that time.
Sir,
And once they are in the operatory, then you can handle it accordingly.
Sir, one of more important question along, sir, in this series, sir, how we explain, sir, specialty, sir. Sir, especially you are oral surgeon, XYZ, and whatever it is, endo. So, sir, when we are basically, this also just like in a comparison question, but sir, how we explain our specialty, sir? We are such kind of a special person for doing such a special type of treatment. So we have some doing some specialty, because our society, I think so, sir. Right now, our society is not too much understanding that dentistry having such branches. They are doing these things within a specialist teams and something. So, sir, how basically we are explaining, we are young generation explaining that I am doing these things and he is doing his thing. Some consultant will come there and he is doing his part, and he or she is doing his part. So, sir, how can we explain in the early days, basically, sir?
Yeah, that is a very important thing, initial days of practice, because not everyone does everything. So whenever you're doing, maybe you are doing root canals and crowns more, and you're not doing implants, and you want to call implant specialist or an oral surgeon or an orthodontist to your practice. So the most important thing is that you explain the patient what exactly is the procedure, that it needs surgery, maybe an impaction if a patient comes to you for impaction. So at times, don't feel offended that the patient would say that यार ये तो एक दांत भी नहीं निकाल सकता, ये कैसा डेंटिस्ट है, क्योंकि मेरे साथ भी ऐसा हुआ है. I do not do root canals. So if a patient comes in and patient had told me यार एक डेंटिस्ट रूट कनाल कैसे नहीं कर सकता, ये डेंटिस्ट कैसे हुए आप. So don't feel offended. The most important thing is, because people think that dentistry again is a very simple thing, everybody can do everything. So give them references, because now everybody knows who a cardiologist is, who a chest physician is. Even chest physicians were not known before corona, because किसी को पता नहीं था कि ऐसा भी कोई specialty होती है. So just give those references, and then tell them, okay, in teeth, this is a wisdom tooth, or this is impacted tooth. Show them the X-ray that this is tilted, and then explain it to them. Okay, this person would come. This is a specialist, a surgeon, who will come and take out the tooth. And the second thing is the charges. So whenever you are calling a specialist, obviously that shows that a multi-specialty thing is happening. So you have to explain the patient the charges as well. That usually this is the charge, and secondly, whenever you are calling a specialist, make sure that you have a clear understanding of the charges, because at times people do it on percentage basis. Like if you're charging say 5,000, so they take some percentage, their surgeon's fee, and you keep the rest of the percentage. Or at times a few specialists have a fixed charge of a certain procedure that you have to pay them, and you have to charge the patient X amount. So your amount is X, the surgeon is charging Y. So the total charge would be X plus Y to the patient. So make it clear and keep it clear between you and your surgeon, because surgeon or other specialist, whoever is coming, because that is a long-term relation that you'll have in your clinic. Because if you change the specialist too much, then the trust factor is also at times at fault.
Sir, I just set up my clinic with all the basic armamentarium, with good clinics, hygiene, everything is done. Sir, what is about the next is marketing, sir. So, sir, because in initial days we don't know how to do the marketing. I think so. Marketing is plays one of the major role today in scenario, because in various Instagram and these other things will be sir hoardings and pamphlets especially. So, sir, how we do the marketing to increasing the inflow of patients? Sir, basically, we want to basically the patient will be understand. God, the marketing should be in a such in a systematic way. The patient will be understanding that what the basically procedure, how the clinic standard should be look like, how the things goes on. So, sir, how will do the marketing part, sir, basically?
Yeah, see, in the long run, the best way of marketing, as we all know, is the word of mouth is the best way of marketing. But initially, it is very difficult, especially first 3 4 years when you have started your clinic. So initially, what I would say, 12 years back, the trend was pamphlets, newspaper ads, or camps. You conduct camps nearby. But nowadays, the trends have changed, and now I think social media is very important in that aspect, because presence on social media is very important. Even Google is very important, especially in tier 1 or tier 2 cities where people are tech savvy, especially where everybody has a smartphone. So you need to have presence on website. You should have your own website, your own Facebook page, your Instagram account. Your Google presence is very important, because people searching for dentists should come to know that you are there. Pamphlets is a good idea in case you are in a smaller city or town, because there you need to circulate it within the community. So that is a good idea. You can do camps as well, but camps, again, because of dentistry, the number of dentists becoming too much, so the camps are not that beneficial as per your practice. But yeah, it is a good thing for society, for general awareness of the patients. Then anyways, whenever that's a marketing strategy as well. And an important thing that I would suggest is have good rapport with general practitioners, doctors in and around your clinic, so that they can refer you patients directly. So referral base is very important. And then after that, the second stage is that nowadays you get reviews from the patients. So word of mouth is word of Google nowadays. So you should take reviews on your website, or video reviews or written reviews, and then post it on the social media accounts or the websites. I think Akshay, you are mute.
Sir, I think so. You are saying that the word of mouth is the best way of basically marketing. I think so. So, sir, another my one of my colleagues will ask these questions in the chat book. Sir, how will manage the staff, sir? Basically, staff is one of the most important, basically, the things in dental practice. We have to be basically depending on the staff like reception, attender, and the other things will be a number of basically. So, how will we manage in initial days of this staff, basically?
Yeah, initially, actually, the keeping staff is a very big thing because the more number of staff you have, the salaries increase, your expenditure increases, and if initially you do not have too many patients, then paying those salaries, it becomes a burden. So I would suggest at least one receptionist and one chairside assistant are the bare minimum that you should have for a single chair practice. If you have multiple chair practice, then one assistant per chair is needed, because if you're working on, if two surgeons are there working in your clinic, then you need two chairs and two assistants, and they can develop as a reception. But I would suggest keep a reception and a chairside assistant. These are the bare minimum when you start your practice.
So reception is as equal as important as your attendance, because I think so people are not basically giving proper attention towards the reception side. I think.
Yeah, because even I have burnt my hands on this, because initially 2 years I did not have a dedicated reception, and now I realize after 10 years of practice, then a lot of things, following up of the patients, uh, doing the follow up, taking the charges, explaining the patient the charges, all those things can be done with the reception. And receptionists usually have a pet, they make a bond with the patient, so they know if this kind of patient is coming, so he'll be on time. What does he expect? So they can plan the things accordingly. So reception is very important, I think.
And sir, what basically criteria you're starting for the for follow up the patients, sir? Whether you call them, message them, या for the referral patients, sir, because सर मैंने उसको भेजा है तो आप उसका ध्यान रखना. This common sentence basically the patient always stays saying that. इनके सर मैंने आप उसी के पास जाना, वही अच्छा करते हैं. And the patient is just be like कि सर आप तो हमारे भगवान हैं. And they starting doing something, मतलब they making too much of an create some too much of an energy basically around us basically. So what we supposed to be do for such kind of a patient, for the referral patient, they are coming to our clinic.
So that is a very important thing that we have started doing since past 5 years, and I am seeing a lot of results with that, because in terms of conversion, because patients used to come, but they were not actually ready to get treatments done. But whenever a referral patient is coming, and when you tell, if you, whoever is sent you a reference, maybe he would be a doctor or an old patient that who has referred. So always make sure that either you call that doctor or the patient who has referred, give them a courtesy call, thanking them. Okay, this patient has had come with your reference, and this is the things that those are needed for his well-being, and always make the thank them for their kind referral. So that is a very important thing to do. One thing, now at times people think that dentists think that it would not look good in case we call ourselves. So make sure that you send an SMS or a text WhatsApp message to the person who has referred, and give them a call wherever possible. So that would be the best way of handling those, because then automatically the person who had referred knows what you have suggested, and in case the patient who was referred to you asks that person that, okay, the patient has the doctor has suggested me root canal, so should I go for it? And you are already conveyed the referring person that, okay, you had sent Mr. X and I have suggested a root canal, thank you for the reference. He knows that, okay, the doctor is caring, so he'll say, okay, हाँ डॉक्टर साहब ने बोला है कि यार आपकी रूट कनाल होनी थी, मेरे को पता लग गया, वो डॉक्टर का फोन भी आ गया था, हाँ वहीं से करा लो. So it makes a bond between you and the patient and the person who refers. So they have a trust. So then the conversion is also better. Second part is, in case the patient gets a treatment done at your clinic, then always make sure that the next day, either your receptionist or you call them and ask their well-being, because usually our procedures in dentistry are an OPD basis procedure. If I'm doing an extraction and I just tell the patient, okay, एक हफ्ते बाद आ जाना suture removal के लिए, पेशेंट को लगता है ठीक है, कुछ दर्द भी हो रहा है, कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, चलो चल रहा है. वहीं in case if you call the patient and ask him कि हाँ, yesterday you had undergone a procedure, how are you feeling? I hope you are fine. So that way the patient thinks doctor actually cares for me. It's not like कि उसने procedure करा, मैंने पैसे दिए, आगे चले गए. So if the next day a call comes in, then it shows that you actually are concerned with the patient, concerned for the patient. So that increases the trust factor, and that I think and we are doing it for the past 5 years. Initially, 3-4 years I did not do this, and now I think that I would have done that at that time as well, because it just takes a phone call.
Okay, sir. It's great to be, sir, just sharing every aspect. Sir, one thing, Akshay, I would know, sir, basically we are too young, basically, and we are not looking at a mature, but we are not look like a mature dentist, sir. So patients are too much, basically, just like they are starting dominating. Some of patients, not all of them, they are starting dominating, just like after the treatment, in duration of a treatment, and we supposed to be think ourselves, okay, sir, just get relaxed, sir, we will sort out everything. We just be like just be like on a backhand, sir. So we just listening them and we will just cool down them. But sir, they continuously dominating us. So sir, what we suppose, how do we deal with such type of a patient? So in initial days, because once you sir start in the clinic after 5 to 6 years, you know how to manage this such kind of a patient. Sir. But initial days, sir, it's just some of 2 to 3 patients in a year, in a month, they are starting dominating you. So how will we sir, deal with this patient?
See, the most important thing in these kind of patients is that your body language has to be strong. Now, dominating in terms of you are saying treatment plan, or you are saying that in terms of money?
Sir, mostly in terms of money, sir, basically. They are dominating in terms of basically money. Because we are too young, basically, and we're delivering the service to them also. But if we just at the end of the day, we are just asking for them that you have to submit this money for this procedure, and they start dominating, because we are too young, sir. So we think that okay, we don't be let the conversation to be heated, and we just be laid down. Okay, sir, just submit. But sir, how to be overcome with this problem, basically?
This actually you have to be firm, and initially before starting the procedure, what you should do is, on a piece of paper, at least write whatever is needed for the patient. Tell them, okay, this much is the amount that you have to pay. And the next thing that I told you, I would not advise you to directly take the money from the patient. Let the receptionist or your assistant take that, because 50% of the time, if you are taking it, then the patients take chances. Okay, यार ये तो डॉक्टर अपना इतना देना था और कितना देना है बताओ आप मेरे को. So in that way, this happens with me also. So my answer is, initially I told you कि यार आपका इतना होगा, अब आपका कितना पेमेंट हुआ है वो आपको रिसेप्शन पे पता लगेगा, because they handle the money part. Because money part का है. दूसरा, the treatment part, like they come in and say कि मुझे पता है रूट कनाल होनी है, आप तो ट्रीटमेंट करो बस. So those patients also, you need to diagnose it, because at times the patients go in for window shopping, and you make sure that you diagnose properly, explain the patient, and then do the treatment. So you have to be firm on this, even in the initial days, because if you are not firm and you are giving too many discounts, you are giving too many freebies to the patient, then your practice, जो मैंने बताया कि word of mouth होता है, so word of mouth would be like that कि यार ठीक है वो डॉक्टर साहब के पास चले जाओ, वो बोलेंगे तो इतना, लेकिन कम तो कर ही देंगे. तो वो एक negative impact जाएगा in the long run.
Who should explain the treatment? It's dentist, yeah, receptionist will explain the basically rate of treatment part, basically. How much money basically.
Yeah, I think Dr. Nishant has asked this question. So the rate, the procedures, and the treatment should be explained by the dentist himself. But the payment terms, like in case you can pay in installments of or something, any issues there, because especially when in orthodontic patients, when the treatment time is say 1 year, 1.5 years. So the most common question with from the patient is that do we need to pay in one go, or can we do it in installments? So again, it's your policy. You might do it in one go. Some people I know do it in one go. Some people give 3 or 4 installments. Some people take it every month. So it's your call, but these things have to be explained and preferably by a receptionist, the terms of payment.
So, sir,
But
you are
the total payment you have to it's better you explain so that you get to know with the facial expressions if the patient is feeling कि यार ये थोड़ा सा ज्यादा लग रहा है या कम लग रहा है, and then accordingly you can think about explaining, because at times क्या होता है कि you say कि orthodontic treatment है या सब 50,000 रुपये का खर्चा आएगा आपका, तो पेशेंट का फेस चेंज हो जाता है कि ये 50,000 का क्या हो रहा है ये. But then if you say कि हाँ okay, per month it's only 5,000, we are talking about 1 year, then it's a different way of putting it. So that that also can be managed, but this part it's better to that the receptionist takes it up.
So, sir, today I think so, and today's era, sir, one of the most heated conversations, sir, basically for every person, it's COVID, sir. Sir, you are practicing in COVID era also, and basically you are practicing before COVID, pre-COVID era also, sir. So we are the young dentists basically, and we are continuously practicing in the COVID era because I started my clinic before just 2 years, sir. So there is dramatically changes. I think so. So there's a dramatically changes in the practicing basically concepts in COVID and pre-COVID era. So, sir, how we just suggested basically us to okay, how we manage this basically the COVID era basically during the treatment, because we are one of them who is encountering basically these situations very frequently. Basically, we don't know how the things will be day by day, sir. We don't know basically how things will be just goes, how things will be in a proceeds. So how we manage basically, sir, in these situations basically right now, this occurring, sir, basically in COVID era, basically how we just running this clinic, how we dealing with these patients and number of the situations. So just explain, sir, a little bit about, sir, this.
It's a good thing. I would say COVID, in terms of dentistry, at least people have considered that okay, dentists are serious. So I think that is a good thing that has happened, because people now consider that sanitization and sterilization is important in dentistry as well. So what I would suggest is, though I was being a surgeon, since I have opened my practice, I have been very particular about sterilization and sanitization. So now also we are following the same criteria during the COVID peaks or COVID times. Right now, the third wave is almost hopefully getting over in India. So we have been more cautious about dealing with patients, especially when the patients are coming in. We do a telephone screening first. The reception whenever the patient books appointment, we do a telephone screening. Then once the patient comes in, we check for temperature and oxygen saturation and all. And then we do the procedure with precautions, like we are using surgical gowns and face shields or goggles and N95 mask. So those are the standard precautions. Sterilization again is a standard thing. In our practice, we use Class B autoclave as a standard thing. So autoclave has to be there for all the instruments as in earlier days as well. You should wear goggles, because we all have a lot of aerosols. Even I did not realize it how much aerosols are splattered on the face before the COVID, because once we started using the face shields, now we know how much splatter our face takes from the air rotor or the mic when I'm doing a surgery. So since then we have started using goggles or face shields. So that is one thing that you should incorporate in your practice, because COVID is one thing, but there are a lot of infections that can transmit to you through the patient during a procedure as well. So these are some measures that we take.
Sir, how will you convince the patient, sir, which is means to the patient which is having full mouth implants, patient which is using the Invisalign, sir, basically, because this is the one of the treatment which is containing a basically high charges. So how will convince the patients and how will make assured that we are with the procedure which we are doing basically. Suppose this procedure may be in less, so how will just start to how we build up the plot basically the patient will be convinced that okay sir I'm just like I'm satisfied with you and will start the treatment on this. So how we do this, sir?
See, it's a long thing because these kind of patients, initially, it's very difficult. That even I faced this issue initially for 3-4 years. I used to do more amount of surgery visiting rather than in my clinic because surgeries were one thing that are slightly expensive, especially implants and all. So I used to do more implants in visiting than my clinic. Now, after 10, 12 years, it's the other way around. So it's very important that when such kind of patients come, make sure that you give them time because they are going to pay you such a huge amount. So they have to have trust in you. One, they should know that you care about them. They should have a bonding with you because once, especially the Invisalign, ortho, or even implants, once you do that patient practically is married to you because थोड़ा सा भी कुछ होगा फुल माउथ इम्प्लांट्स में वो आपके पास ही आएगा तो कोई भी प्रॉब्लम होगी वो आपके पास आएगा तो you need to have a good rapport with the patient so that थोड़ा बहुत and कोई ऐसा नहीं है जिसमें I have not seen even a single case जिसमें कि patient 10 साल तक वापस नहीं आया है 5 साल तक जो मेरे 5 साल तक वापस नहीं आया हर पेशेंट साल 2 साल में माइनर इश्यूज रहते ही रहते हैं and they come back to you in these kind of cases. So the rapport is important. Secondly, for converting them, you should make sure that you have records of your older patients. If the patient comes in, so make sure that you have records for these kind of patients. So at least you can show them कि हाँ pre and post X-ray हुआ. So अगर कोई भी एक भी patient हुआ, if you have done a single implant also, make sure that you take photographs of the implant. Initially, you have time. You do not have too many patients. You have time. So make sure that you have records of those patients. Make sure that you take reviews from these kind of patients. So you can show your new patient, okay, आपने एक implant डाला, उसके बाद की वही review लिया, अच्छा हमारा experience अच्छा था, ये था. So you can show the second patient that comes in for implants that we are doing implants. ये है कि भाई you need not say that this was my first implant वो नहीं बोलना है but you can show that review that okay we are doing implants so this is the thing so reviews are important and make sure that patients see that you have done these cases so that gives a big impact.
Sir, I don't know, sir. I am right and wrong, sir. But sir, there is a lot of VIP patients, sir, and sir, you are dealing with VIP patients also. So, sir, because we are young and we are basically just like always VIP patient is just always be like an upper hand, sir. So, sir, how will you deal such type of patients and VIP patient? You giving some special attention. You talk in some special manner, sir. What you supposed to be do, sir, for such type of patients, sir?
See, whenever you are into practice, every patient that comes to you is VIP. The patient who is sitting in your chair is a VIP person. So
but
that
sir, they
is the
always
most important
that
person.
they always
He's the
want
most
special
important
attention,
person.
sir. They always want special attention that
Yeah.
we are
So
sir, basically.
see, as I told you, that give each and every patient a special attention. The only thing that is different for in case you have a VIP patient, these kind of patients would not come to you. They won't be coming in walk-in. They usually give you a call because डेंटिस्ट्री में ऐसा कोई भी इमरजेंसी नहीं होती हमेशा वो फोन करके बोलेंगे कि हमें दर्द हो रहा है या कुछ हो रहा है तो make sure once they are there you do not let them wait that is the most important thing give them time and rest of the steps remain the same so you explain the treatment you diagnose explain the treatment explain the charges In case you know that that person is very important to you, then again, discounting is your call, how much discount you want to give, or if you charge the patient or you don't want to charge the patient. So that's absolutely your call. बट द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग वीआईपी, वो एक जो वर्ड है वो अपने दिमाग में ही होता है और कहीं नहीं होता. At the end of the day, everybody is same. They just need time. So you have to give them proper attention. You cannot do if that person has called you and you're not seeing him for half an hour, then the people get offended. So once he is there at your clinic, then you have to just give him time.
So there is no special attention given, just like they treat like a simple patient.
Because every patient you have to give special attention to, for that patient to build a rapport and get converted, and then you have to do a procedure on that patient. So in case you're not giving any patient, every patient has to be a VIP. That is there.
Okay, sir. Thank you for such a beautiful guidance, sir. Sir, one of the last most questions, sir, is start. I'm just wanted to know, sir, sir, basically how we started basically our initial practice. We started with a multiple chair. You started with a single chair, because sir, some of them are saying that it started with a multiple chair because if you have n number of patients, will do the OPDs with this and this on this chair, and some of them are saying that it started with a single chair, gradually with increasing your OPD and then shifting towards a multiple chair. So, sir, what's your view about you? What is your view about you, sir?
My take is, in case there are two dentists, like you are the only dentist, your wife is not a dentist. In my case, we were two dentists there, so I started with two chairs initially. If you are a single person who's working, at least make sure that if you have the space, you should have a space, and if you are making your new clinic, then keep provision for two, for expansion. If you do not keep provision, then you might not expand, because later on, like we had discussed initially, that not everybody does everything. So if you are if I'll talk about me, I am a surgeon. So I used to do surgeries, implants and all. A root canal specialist would come, he still comes in and does the root canal in my clinic. If I would have only one chair, then when the other person is working, then you are just sitting there idle, because we need a chair for working. So in case and the rest of the equipment remains the same now, because you have to just invest in a chair. So initially, if you think you are going to do everything yourself, then it's better you start with one chair, but always keep provision for the second one. And as soon as you feel that I have sufficient amount of patients, I have sufficient amount of work where I need to get another chair, you just have to order the chair and just fix it there, and you have a multiple chair practice. So that is my take.
We already install everything, only just starting to set up another chair.
Yeah. So keep all the provisions and everything as with two chairs. And like if you have a space for say a big room for chair, so don't install that chair in the center. Do it at one side, and keep the water or drainage systems and everything ready beforehand only, because in case otherwise it's very difficult, especially when you are doing dentistry. The chairs have a lot of water lines, plumbing work, electric work, so all those things are important. So I think that would be the best thing to do if you are starting your practice.
So, sir, it's having one of great sessions with you. You just enlightening with a number of questions and making path so easable for such kind of basically those who are so then Ankit, Ankit.
It's 16:32. For notifications, follow the notification on your phone to turn on notification access.
Thank you, Dr. Akshay, for this wonderful session. And sir, I'm sure participants really like the answer and they get some very meaningful information. Second thing, if there is anyone in the audience, in the participant who want to ask some questions, they can raise their hand and we can unmute them and allow them to ask questions. Second thing, I would like to sum up the things which have been shared. Like when a doctor is starting his clinic, he must take care to have a proper reception. उसके साथ ही they must work on social media. Word of mouth is the best way to get your patients, but you should work on social media because your audience is also at that place. Third thing कि आपको patient को explain करना है treatment properly, and if there is a discussion about specialty, you should not get offended. When the things is coming for treatment charges, that time you should explain the treatment charges and your reception will take the payment. Yes, Dr. will want to ask something. Ma'am, you can unmute.
Hello, sir. I wanted to ask that I'm planning to start my own practice. So can I initially hire some dentists along with me to treat the cases? Will that make a good impression on the patient if I'm hiring somebody?
Yeah, Dr. Gul. So, may I know which part of India you are planning to practice?
So it's in Kanpur, and to let you know, there are already 4-5 clinics around me.
Okay. See, in that case, it's a good thing because team practice is what I think is the future, because that needs to that is because people now understand that not everyone can you cannot be jack of all trades. So it's better you can, when you're starting your practice, but promote it in such a way that those patients coming in know that what you are specializing in and what the other person specializes.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so that would be my idea. And in case you are having more amount of people, then keep sufficient amount of chairs also, because if you keep only one chair and two people sitting there, then it does not give you a good impression to the patient. Because if you are promoting your practice like a multi-speciality practice, then you need to have sufficient amount of infrastructure as well.
So financially, will it be profitable for me? Like I would definitely have to give a percentage to that doctor as well. So will
Yeah.
that be?
So yeah, because see, if that would be helpful in case you are not able to dedicate your time to the practice, and if you're not confident in certain things, and the other person would help you in those things, like in case you're not confident in doing surgeries, and the person who you are hiring is good at surgeries, so that adds a dimension to your practice, so that makes it different.
Yeah, so, sir, honestly, I was out of practice for 2 years because I had two kids,
Okay.
so I was busy raising them. So right now I'm planning to start my own clinic, and so that's why I am little bit underconfident. That's why I asked this question.
Yeah, I understand, because because you never know, because in if you have two kids, you have to give time to them as well. So
Yes, sir.
doing this is using hiring people is a good thing, but make sure that you are there and you have a system in place, because you need to have a system. It should not happen that the patient coming in when you are there and the other person is not there, and then the patient comes in and you say, okay, come in the evening, and this person is going to do the procedure, and at that time some miscommunication is there regarding the treatment or the charges or anything. So make sure that you have a system in place where the things run smoother, so that even if two people are working in the same premises, the patient should not feel that there is the flow is not good.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome, and all the best.
Dr. Noman want to ask something, I guess. Dr. Noman, you can ask. Dr. Noman Ukai. Okay. Sir, one question I get it on WhatsApp that कि आपने receptionist पे काफी focus किया कि तो होना भी चाहिए receptionist first ending of clinic. Second time, second thing कि उसके बाद उसे payment भी collect करना है. तो what do you think that basic qualification should be there in this kind of receptionist? और उसके लिए आपको एक अलग से training क्या करनी होगी and what could be the salary for that receptionist? You expect कि इतना हो तो एक अच्छा बंदा मिल जाए.
Initial days is the receptionist. Once your practice increases, then you can make a different reception. Reception is the front office who calls up and takes the calls on the phones and everything. And the main person for these jobs would become your treatment coordinator or your clinic coordinator. So initially, you have to train the reception. There is no quality for such thing. The most important quality in this kind of reception is that they have to be humble and pleasant to talk to, and they should know how to handle the different kind of patients. Training usually, because there is nothing known as a dental receptionist training program till now. That you have to train the receptionist, put yourself in the shoes of patients, and then train the receptionist for different kind of things regarding right from taking a phone call when the patient arrives, when the patient goes out for the payment, and taking the due payments. So all those things usually that in our practice, I have done those because there is no formal thing. And as you get the feedback from the receptionist, because talk to your receptionist, talk to your staff, whatever feedback is there, try to solve those issues, and then slowly you increase the profitability, the efficiency, and everything. And regarding the salaries, regarding the salaries, the salary, it again depends which kind of practice you are doing, what are the qualifications. If you are keeping a receptionist who has got some degree in some management degree or graduate degree or something like that, then accordingly you have to see what needs to be paid and how efficient he or she is. So initially you have to hire them, because you will hire them and then you'll have to train them for 2-3 months, because doing dental things, they should know, okay, these are 10-20 procedures that are done, different kinds of crowns. So it should not happen कि आपने PFM के लिए पेमेंट बोला या फुल सिरेमिक के लिए पेमेंट बोला, उसने PFM का करके और पेशेंट को दे दिया. तो वो ट्रेनिंग भी बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है.
Sure, sir. इसी से सर रिलेटेड एक क्वेश्चन came into my mind. आपने ट्रीटमेंट के चार्जेस एक्सप्लेन किए पेशेंट को, then the patient will go and pay to the reception. So आपको रिसेप्शन को कम्युनिकेट भी करना होगा कि what are the charges that you have communicated and कैसे उसे लेना है. So ये ट्रीटमेंट एक कम्युनिकेशन लैग होगा. हाउ टू, मतलब प्रैक्टिकली ये चैलेंज आप भी फेस करते ही होंगे, तो कैसे इसे
usually communication का है कि as soon as you tell the patient goes out of your operatory, usually our waiting area and operating areas are separate. Most of the clinics do not have the same कि ऐसा कि चलते चलते वेटिंग में भी वही लोग वेटिंग और ऑपरेटिंग दिख रहा है, ऐसा होता नहीं है. So if you are doing a thing, so you can have a small intercom between the receptionist or your operatory, so that you can just tell the reception. Or secondly, what you can do is you can write it on a piece of paper, ask your chairside assistant to take to the receptionist and give that to her, and then from there she takes care. Or if your chairside assistant is doubling up as a receptionist, then obviously he will be next to you, so you can just write down and give it to your receptionist.
Like most of the patient bargain, how do you explain to them that there is no bargaining?
Sir, doctor, can you introduce yourself? You are asking question. is Dr. Rahul. Yes, sir. Dr.
Yeah,
Rahul is there.
I was saying that most of the patients bargain. So how would we explain them that there is no bargaining like in the treatments?
Yeah, Dr. Rao. So we had spoken about this. Bargaining, usually the patients would do because they are never satisfied with the discount they get. So the most important thing that you need to explain it to them that what the procedure is would happen and what all it includes. Because usually what you say that okay, it's a root canal treatment. So you have to explain the patient that we need to do say 4 or 5 X-rays in it. We need to do cleaning of a molar. So you have there are 3 canals. So explain the patient everything, and still the patient, if the patient bargains, then you have to be firm on it. And as I told you, if you still want to give discounts, then you should have a policy in place that if this kind of patient is there and if I want to offer a discount, so say 5%, 10%, 20%, whatever is your take on giving discounts, you can do it. But I would not recommend these kind of discounts, because over a period of time that becomes your practice. And when we go in and the patient goes out and says that okay, this guy, you just go to this guy, bargain something, and he'll reduce the prices. So that we do not want in the long run.
Yeah, correct. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So, is there any more questions you can ask? And along with sir, one thing in the same thing, जैसा कि होता है कि कई जगह हम जाते हैं and we do not bargain. There are two things. First, we know internally कि इस एरिया में bargain नहीं होता है. Like you go to a Reliance store और वहां पे आपको जो बिल मिलता है you directly pay, and you go to a सब्जी market, वहां पे जो आपको प्राइस बताते हैं उसमें आप bargain करते हो. Second, you go to some shops, वहां पे लिखा होता है कि rates are fixed, and you got this message कि rates are fixed, I cannot bargain. And to some places people bargain. तो क्या डेंटल में ऐसा क्या कुछ कर सकते हैं कि people get a message that this place no bargain?
Yeah, that's a good thing. Because yeah, Rahul, that also is one of the answers to your question, that you can get a fixed rate procedure list at your place. You can keep that at your reception or display it at your reception or a waiting area, that these are the common charges of so and so procedures. So the chances of bargaining reduce at that point of time. Secondly, that what you can do is give a patient a printed itemized bill. Like a lot of softwares are there now for dental practice management, that you can just give a patient a printed bill. So that would be a good thing, because patients का even अपने साथ भी होता है, जैसे Ankit has said that if you go in to buy vegetables from a street vendor, then you tend to bargain. But if you go to a Reliance store and then you buy vegetables, so whatever discount they are giving, you'll take it, or else you would not ask for discounts. So because people entering that store know that these are the charges that I need to pay per kilo per kg. अपने को अगर 10 रुपए का है तो वो 4 kg अपन लेना 40 रुपए हो जाएगा. वहीं अपन अगर वो 4 किलो बोलता है तो उसको अपन कम करने की कोशिश करते हैं, नहीं 40 में नहीं 35 में दो. So that is the whole thing. So billing is a good thing that conveys that you are a professional and these are your charges.
Dr. Siddhi Datta has a question. Sir, while starting up a clinic, what are all registration required? For example, what do we need GST number and how to register for BMW? So this would be a very long answer, and I think this is not in the
No,
scope.
actually, it's not a very long answer, because registration wise, GST is not needed in a dental clinic as of now, because we are providing medical services, and medical services are exempted from GST. So GST is as of now not needed. Yeah, biomedical waste, you need to register. You need to register with biomedical waste collector, the company that collects the biomedical waste. And then if you're Sthiti, I think wherever you are practicing, if you are practicing, I'll tell you about Jaipur. If you are practicing in Jaipur, then you need to be registered with Rajasthan Pollution Control Board as well. So those are mandatory. Biomedical waste management, you need to it's mandatory that you register with the biomedical waste company and Rajasthan Pollution Control Board. Rest, in case you are having a shop, then a shop act applies to you. Then you have to register your shop or some other thing. But otherwise, there is no need as such, because you are registered as a practitioner at the dental council. So that is the most important thing. So that is the registration that you need.
Dr. Sipti got her answer. Sir, you said कि your staff is really important. तो उसमें एक add-on question आया था मेरे पास कि after 10 years down the line, if you hold a staff, तो उसकी जो salary हो जाती है, उस salary में 2 staff आ सकते हैं या 3 staff आ सकते हैं. So, with your experience, what is the right thing to do? Do you keep that staff or you get?
No, with my experience, the most important thing, as you increase the practice, increase the work, and the training, as I told you, that training is very important, because any staff that you take in dentistry, if they are not used to dental clinics or dental profession, then you need to train them. If you are training them, then over a period of time, they become part of your practice. They are part of your team. So though the salaries increase, the efficiency is there, and do not increase the salaries just on time basis. So make sure that you are you do some accountability and increase the salary on the basis of their performance, so that they know that we need to be at par. And later on, if in case you feel that if they are doing worth for their salary, then I am not of favor that you keep on changing your assistants very often, because that gives a bad impression to the patients coming in. The coordination is not there, and the hard work that you do with training your people, that goes waste, because everybody has his or her own different kind of practice, the different kind of pattern. So that needs to be taken care of.
Thank you, sir. And sir, questions are flowing in, but I'm sure you are so busy and you gave us this much of time, so we would close the session because this have been 1.5 hours. So first of all, sir, thanks for taking out your time, and this is really very commendable. You are sharing your experiences to your fellow dentists. Thank you for that. And I will thanks to Dr. Akshay Arya to came on board asking the questions जो कि उनका age group, उनके साथ के colleagues, उनके साथ के dentists feel करते हैं, putting it in the right way and taking the best of the information out from Dr. Nishant. So thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
sir.
Ankit,
thank you so much, sir, for just enlightening me and just enhancing my basically the basic knowledge towards the dentist in early days of my life. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ankit, and thank you, Akshay. And I think anybody, if any of the questions are remaining, you can contact me anytime. You can just search my name in Google.
Yes.
And you can send me a message, or I'll ask Mr. Ankit to just put in my number on the Facebook page. So in case somebody has some questions or needs any help, I'll be more than happy to assist you. And if I can be of any help, let me know, please. Thank you.
Sure,
and thank you, Ankit, for organizing it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And this session will be shared on Ayushi Density's YouTube page, YouTube channel. At that channel, you will get email ID of Dr. Nishant also. So if there is any query, you can post it to Nishant, sir. So, sir,
I've put my number in the chat box. If anybody wants, you can just save my number and message me directly if any question is there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we are holding session for a minute or so. So anybody who want to, everyone can save Dr. Nishant's number. This is in the chat box. Thank you, sir. I think we can close, and there is a very good response from participants. And once again, thank you for taking out your time and sharing your information with us, your knowledge with us.
Thank you, Ankit, and thank you, Akshay. Bye.
Bye, sir.